Hello and welcome to March 2, the pod presented by Eternal Roofing, a podcast that's still trying to get over some illness and allergy combinations these days. This is season 3, episode 31. We're talking spring football notes, baseball struggles, softball struggles, and basketball roster. I'm Cory Hogue, your host producer, once BearkatFans.com member, permanently banned from X Twitter, and apparently guy who can't find a voice. You can find me on Facebook and other social media channels not named Twitter at Cory Hogue Sports, CORYHOGUE Sports. I'm joined by co-host, analyst, and the real ball knower of this podcast. He's the man behind at Sports of SHSU on Twitter and Instagram, and a proud Bearkat himself, Ben Sorrells. And before we get into a kind of an around the farm segment, last time we were on, Ben, you mentioned that we had to be at or above 100 episodes.
Yes, getting there.
We are above. This is our 133rd episode of March to the Pod as we're getting close to concluding our third season.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost the end of another athletic year and 3 whole athletic years doing this. It's crazy that we're at that number. I didn't even think we'd be there. I thought we were in the 90s maybe, but we've blown past that.
Yeah, we really have. And we started, I believe our very first episode was June. It was right around June 6th, 2023.
Yeah, that sounds about right. 3 years ago.
Yeah, so we're coming up on the end of this with the athletic season. Listen, we will take a break during part of June, and we got a Disney trip coming up, a Disney World trip here at the end of the month. But we are mulling ideas and things of how we can make March to the Pod, not just the podcast, but especially our Substack better for next season.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. We will have some things coming up on that. Now, let's get to around the farm. Men's golf, they finished tied for 8th in the Conference USA Championships alongside La Tech. They were +4, 868 through 3 rounds. Caleb Lumpkin was the top individual. He finished tied for 11th with a 4 under par, 212 for the tournament. And, Ben, I think that's about where we thought the golf would probably finish.
It is, and it was kind of the summation of the entire season. There were some highs, there were some lows. The first 2 rounds, your young guys actually played really well, and Alex Malanga, your lone returner from last year's roster, did not play well. His score was the one that didn't count towards the team total for, I believe, the first 2 rounds. I know for sure the first round. So just kind of what this entire season wasn't consistent, but right around how we thought they'd finish, 8th place. Knew they weren't going to be last, but they also weren't going to compete for a top 3 spot. So about what we thought, and hopefully it's something you can build off of going to next year with these young guys performing pretty well, honestly, during the Conference USA tournament.
On the women's side, they finished tied for 3rd with New Mexico State, which I don't understand one thing. Why do the women not have the top 4 semifinals and finals like the men?
And it's the same thing for softball, baseball. Why is softball going through bracket play when the men's side is doing this pool play into bracket play thing? It's weird how same sports are using 2 completely different systems for their tournaments.
I have another gripe about that softball tournament format that we can get to in that section coming up. The women finished +23 on the tournament. Amelia Guo, no surprise. She's been one of the top players all year for the Cats. She was the top individual, finishing at +5. And Ben, it wasn't the greatest year, but not a bad year for the Cats women's team.
No, and it was honestly a pretty good showing. A tie for 3rd place is, far above what I thought they would be. I thought it would be a 7th, 8th place finish, similar to what the men did. So hopefully it's something you can go into next year. I've heard the recruiting class, the freshman recruiting class coming in, is supposed to be really, really good. So that, along with the development of the players on the roster, I think you have a shot to be pretty good next year. You're 3rd in the conference and you had a really, really down year. I think it's only going to continue to go up, and this is a team that should compete for a conference title again next year like they have in the past.
No doubt. We're gonna have Ben give us his notes, information, everything he's got from the football spring practice. Not a game. It was a practice. And that's coming up right after we hear this message from our friends at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And for anyone wondering how you can avoid ending up like sounding like me, getting it just inundated, especially during the spring with allergies and illnesses and stuff, don't join the Army and don't spend years around burn pits and burning your own feces. That's my advice.
That might help.
That does a lot of harm on your sinuses and your health.
Yeah, it'll help you stay away from whatever this crazy virus is that's starting to go around. What is it? That was on the cruise ship or whatever. I can't remember the name they came up with for it.
It's funny. I see all those, right? And I'm like, I don't even worry about those because I feel like I've had like 10 anthrax shots. I've had so many 4, 5, 6 COVID shots. My body is immune. I've had the smallpox, live smallpox vaccine put into me. Like I've had so many different things. I don't worry about that. But it's my allergies and sinuses that are gone, gone. And as soon as it hits outside, it hits me. And you hear what I sound like now. And this is actually better than it was a couple days ago.
Yeah. It's a miracle we made it to today.
Yeah, no, I said after I know we missed the last couple of weeks, I said, no, we're gonna do whatever I can to fight through today. I've been sucking down those Cool Breeze lozenges too, trying to help it and everything. So anyway, enough about that. Ben, football had their spring practice, and I don't know if I should hop onto the optimism train that I'm hearing from some people. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a mixed result. There was definitely some good. There's definitely some bad. So you start on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback is obviously where every discussion is going to start. Had heard Landon Locke had a great camp. Did not have a great day for the open practice. Just could not move the ball down the field. Did not look very good. Partially, I think some of that was due to his play. Some of that was due to the offensive line in front of him and what was going on around him. So not great when your quarterback doesn't play well. Don't know how much of that was on him, but you would want to see him play a little better. DJ Bailey, on the other hand, had a fantastic day, led 4 or 5 touchdown drives, looked really, really good. He was running with the twos, so wasn't facing that first team defense like Landon Locke was. Landon Locke's going to be the guy. I know some people were talking about DJ should be the guy based on that practice. It's going to be Landon Locke, barring, an injury or just something crazy happening over the summer leading into the season. So quarterback play was a little up and down. Didn't see a lot of Coco Brown or Alton McCaskill at the running back position. Not a ton of reps, but you don't need 2 proven running backs out there getting banged up in spring practice. It was a lot of Trey Taylor, walk-on, who's been with the program for a few years, program culture guy, and Caden Weekfield, who's one of the couple of freshmen that's on campus right now. He's from Aledo, highly touted high school guy. I think he's got a real shot to be your number 3 running back coming into this next year. Sounded like he had a really good day. Wide receiver room, I'm very excited about the slot position. Grady O'Neill is back. Derek Bledsoe is back. You have Avion Smith-Mack, who had a really nice touchdown grab on a great route. So that slot position, it's looking really good. And then what Chris Reed's going to be on the outside. Tim Burns also had a nice day. So it sounds like you have some pieces at the receiver room. You brought in a lot of guys. We'll see how they can fill in for depth, but they look pretty good on the outside at the receiver spot. The biggest concern was the O-line play, especially that first team O-line. You're replacing your entire starting O-line, new O-line coach that got there late January, February, and just did not hold up for Landon Locke. And so, I mean, it all starts at the line of scrimmage. The other pieces were okay, but the O-line is the biggest concern for me right now.
I mean, let's be honest. The O-line needed a complete redo. They were not good last year at all. And but I'm not feeling positive. Like, that's the one thing. Running backs, you don't want to get them banged up. DJ Bailey is not Phil Longo's guy.
No.
He is not. It is Landon Locke. That's why he brought him in, and that should just be obvious. Now, DJ, for his part, commitment has been an issue for him, and that seems to have changed.
Over the past year or so, he's gotten right.
And honestly, he could be putting up tape for a transfer portal, to be honest with you, because I just don't think he's going to be Phil Longo's guy.
No, especially when, and this is a part of the whole dynamic too, you don't have Longo's two freshman quarterbacks coming in. So Mason Holtzclaw, quarterback from Georgia, then Brett Holloway, the quarterback from Melissa. I mean, honestly, Mason Holtzclaw would surprise me if he ends up being the 2 or 3. Like I said, it does not look like DJ Bailey is going to be the guy. It's going to be Landon Locke. And then moving forward, maybe Locke for one more year, but then you've got Mason Holtzclaw and Brett Holloway coming in. They're going to be Phil Longo's guys moving forward, assuming everybody's still here.
All DJ has to do is read the room, and he'll see that he doesn't really have, and no knock on him. I'm glad to see that he's getting better, and that does help him, because this gets around when it comes transfer portal time next year, which is very likely where he is headed.
Well,
wide receivers. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it helps this year's roster too, because 2 freshmen coming in, you don't know what they're going to look like. If DJ is going to play like that, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about the backup spot. Feel better than you did coming into the spring.
Yeah, and look, do you want to put a true freshman out there? Really?
No.
I mean,
I'd
rather put DJ in at backup. So he can back up this year and then hit the portal. And no doubt he'll have some chances this year to put in put on some tape, to get some tape together heading into this. Now, new football schedule came out. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But again, finishing up on the offensive side of things, that O-line, man, that's just not cutting it. And if you're struggling right now in practice to block someone, it's not going to get better when you're facing Conference USA competition.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the group that's out there, the first team group, Brock Stukes, the center, Isaac Sohn, left tackle, who saw a decent amount of time last year, Donnell Nix, who was one of the NC State transfers, Carter Cato, right tackle, Logan Cahill, I believe, right guard. Josiah Chenault is not a part of that starting 5 from what it looked like. He was the first team all-conference center coming in from Kennesaw State. Heard he kind of came in a little out of shape, but hopefully he can round back into the form he was in at Kennesaw. I think if you can get that kind of performance out of him, that could maybe shore some things up. Logan Cahill's a really young guy, hasn't really played at this level. It's a new group, new coach. So I'm hoping that the newness of the group and the unfamiliarity between everybody might be why they didn't play as well. But it's definitely going to be something to monitor going into training camp in the start of the season.
What about the defensive side of the ball? The offensive line looked bad, but that could be good news for the defense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The front 7, I think it's funny for a Phil Longo team. I think the front 7 might be the strongest part of your roster. I mean, you bring back almost the entire D tackle unit. Josh Alexander Felton, one of the NC State transfers, continues to be a guy on the edge that people rave about. Chauncey Chitty is back on the edge. He really flashed at the end of last year. And then at linebacker, you bring back Dean Ford, who was really good towards the end of last season when he got some time. Brian Bates from Delaware State put up some huge numbers there, super athletic. Michael King, a D2 guy that fits really well into this defense. I mean, the front 7 played really well during that spring open practice. And just when you look at the roster, I think that is the group that pops out the most to you. And the secondary wasn't really tested a ton, but Joey Hunter, transfer from Memphis, Ish Atkins, transfer from Elon. Sounds like they might be your starting two corners. Tyler Bailey is back at safety. He had a really good year last year. William Davis from West Virginia. Sounds like he could slot into another starting safety position. He's got some high-level college experience, was a D2 guy, played at a high level there before West Virginia, where he played sparingly last year. So the defense, funny enough, is in a really good spot, which for a Phil Longo-led team, like I said, it's just not something you would think you would say. But I think the defense is going to be pretty good. Are they going to go from, giving up 37, 38 points a game down to 15? Probably not, but I think they're a defense that could maybe hold teams to 24 to 27, which is going to be a big improvement from last year.
Yeah, well, as long as you can have enough to give yourself a chance.
Right.
Mid-20s is good. Now, the front seven wasn't the problem last year. It was the back four. And I would like to see them a little more tested because as our friend of the show, Lane Fobbs, knows, that back four was just torched last year. And I would like to see them be tested a little bit now so that we know kind of what we might be watching in the fall.
Right. Yeah. And they didn't get tested a ton, but I mean, Longo has said that this is a much bigger and longer group than last year, which is what you need because there was not a lot of size or depth out there on the corner. A lot of the JUCO guys that you brought in did not play. You missed on a lot of them. I think this group is a lot more talented, a lot bigger, has a lot more playing experience also, which is a big part of this also. So we're looking a lot better on the defensive side. It's just, how good can they be? They're not going to be nearly as bad as last year, but what is their ceiling? I think that's kind of still to be determined.
All right, so I'm going to throw a surprise. But it would help if the producer did things right. So anyway,
I'm back.
I'm back too. I don't think anybody heard me there. So apologize for the dead silence. We're looking at the schedule now, and we're going to start with the first four non-conference games. Conference USA took out a bye for the Cats with some of their reorganization due to the La Tech leaving and stuff. So first four games at Troy, Tulsa and Nichols or Bowers. And by the way, I'm really, really excited about that new press box, like seeing it come to fruition, seeing the pictures. It looks great, exactly what you would hope for. So Tulsa, Nichols at Bowers, then at Texas Tech. So of those four, how many possible wins do you see right now, Ben?
I think possible 2. I think likely is 1. You're not going to win Texas Tech. I think Troy's going to be really tough on the road. But Bowers, Nichols, you should win. Tulsa, new Bowers debut, first time back at home in 2 years. I think that's a 50-50 game. So I'm going to say 1, but there's 2 winnable games on there.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you don't beat Nichols, the season went south quickly, in my opinion, because that is an FCS team. And then Tulsa, I think Tulsa's there for the taking as well. And you never know. You never know what Troy has. Traditionally, Troy has probably been a bit better, but it's hard to say there. Now we get into Conference USA. They start off at Liberty. Then they have Western Kentucky and New Mexico State at home. Starting with those 3, that's a pretty stout start to the conference slate.
Very. I mean, the Texas Tech, Liberty, WKU trio, and I know there's a little gap in there between Tech and Liberty. I mean, that is by far your probably toughest 3-game stretch of the schedule.
No doubt. And you go from, as we look at Texas Tech on the 26th, then you start your midweek games. CUSA likes those midweek games. Thursday against Liberty, then 6 days to prepare for home against WKU, and you get a week for New Mexico State. And then I don't know that it gets much easier. You're at Ben's neck of the woods in Missouri State on October 27th. Then you're on the road at Jack State, at home against Kennesaw State. This is not a schedule that's getting easier, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. The schedule from a date and timing perspective, I thought was probably as good as you can get. You have a bye coming out of Texas Tech. You've got that 10-ish, 11-ish day gap between Missouri State and Jack State in the middle of conference play. But you really had no favors done for you from the opponent's perspective. And I know you're going to play 8 of the 9 other teams, but you got to play all of Jack State, Kennesaw State, WKU, and Liberty, who are probably the top 4 teams coming into this year, and just based off of past performance. So you would have liked to have avoided one of those teams, but you didn't, and that's just part of it. But yeah, from a timing perspective, I think it was okay. From an opponent perspective, it's a difficult schedule.
Now, last year, they didn't face all of the top teams, if I remember correctly.
Right. They only faced 8 of the 11 teams. I'm trying to remember off the top of I know they didn't play Liberty. Liberty wasn't great. They didn't play Missouri State. Missouri State ended up being pretty good. Those are the 2 that come to mind.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to figure this year's was going to be a little more difficult on the conference side because of you can't just avoid Liberty for 2 straight years.
Right. I think it's more difficult on the conference side. It's definitely easier on the non-conference side. So it's a little bit of give and take. It's about, I mean, in my opinion, it's about as difficult as last year's schedule as a whole, but the conference schedule is definitely a little more difficult.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, last year's schedule was at Texas as well. The Cats close out the season with, so they're home against Kennesaw. So 2 of their last 3 are at home. They got Middle Tennessee, and then they go visit Pit Bull Stadium. And boy, are those FIU Panthers getting their money's worth out of that that partnership with Pit Bull, right?
Yeah, I think they released a statement or something about it to try to clear some stuff up, which is funny.
That is.
FIU's a sleeper team. I mean, Willie Simmons had them really moving in the right direction last year. They could be a sleeper. I mean, he is a good coach, and Miami's a good market.
Oh, he's a fantastic coach. I knew when they got him, they weren't going to be losing for long, no doubt.
Yeah, and I was going to say one last thing from the spring practice is the special teams part. Cal Joseph, transfer punter from Wake Forest, sounds like will be just fine in the punter position. Kicking spot, similar to the last few years, I think is a little bit of a worry. Sam Carpenter missed a short field goal. He's a transfer from Pitt. He was very up and down during his time at Pitt, also was a kickoff specialist there too. And then Tate Ryan, the redshirt freshman from the Woodlands, also missed a kick. An interesting thing with him, he was a top 25 rated kicker in the country coming out of high school last year, but he never actually kicked in a game because Scott Starzik was the number 1 kicker in the country from the Woodlands High School, went to Arkansas. So Ryan never actually really kicked field goals in a game. Very talented camp kicker, but you just never know how that translates to the field. So the kicking spot's going to be one to watch.
Game and pressure experience are a whole new deal. Anyone can kick when there's nobody in the stadium. That's not great news to hear. Just real quick, what do you give the odds of a bowl this team getting to a bowl next season?
I'd say somewhere between 40 and 50%. I would say maybe closer to 50. It's somewhere in there. I mean, obviously there's still a lot of time left and still a lot to figure out about the other teams, but I'm probably somewhere between 5 and 7, 6 and 6. I think the talent upside could get this team to 7 or 8 wins. But it's a difficult schedule. This coaching staff hasn't proven it yet. So I'm probably somewhere around 5 or 6 wins right now.
See, I'm 10 to 15% below where you are, and I'm at 3 to 4 wins right now. And a lot of that has to do with that offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, and then you're an air raid offense, you're not going to be able to move the ball very much. And we saw that last year, and unfortunately, we could be headed for that again. As much as we want to blame the defense last year, they were on the field all the time. So you need some sort of good news to come out of that O-line.
Yeah, when the defense flashed and was the reason why you won 2 games. The Oregon State game in Middle Tennessee, I mean, the defense played really, really well. So, I mean, the defense flashed at times. The offense really didn't. But this is the prove-it year. Nothing really matters from last year, and we'll see where it goes.
I think right now I would put this team 2 games better than last year. And you're hitting in that 3 to 4 game range, which would put them in a possible bowl game, which a lot of fans would be very, very happy about.
And I think that's the goal. I think 6 wins, I think that should be where they need to get to this year. We're not expecting them to get to 8, but 6 wins, I think, would be a really good benchmark.
Well, how about we go ahead and start this little thing here? What is the number of wins that Phil Longo must make to not have a hot seat at the end of the year or going into the following season?
No hot seat at all. I think it's 6. I think anything below 4, you're in jeopardy of possibly losing a job. I think 4 or 5, you would be on the hot seat, but you'd be back for sure. So, 3 and below might not be back. 4 and 5, you'll be back, but the seat is very hot. 6 and above, you're at a good spot.
I agree with that. I think that's a great assessment. Not like anyone cares. If you're enjoying the show, help us grow by rating and reviewing March to the Pod on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to our Substack page at marchtothepod.substack.com. March the number 2 the pod.substack.com, and you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube by searching for @MarchToThePod. Remember, it's the number 2. We're also proud members of the CUSA Podcast Roundtable with shows covering all 12 Conference USA programs. We will be right back, and we're going to discuss baseball, softball. And I'm sorry, this is not a happy discussion. But what is happy is hearing about our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. I had track and field, and for some reason, track and field did not make it into the segment today. So let me go back and see if I can pull that up, because they were at an event at Texas A&M.
Yep.
And
it's a little over a week ago or last week.
Yeah, it was May. I want to say, let's see, track and field. It was the alumni muster hosted by Texas A&M. And let me restore this version here because it just completely left. Okay, Caleb Anthony finished second in the men's 800 with a time of 149.03. There's a kid, wide receiver, who played wide receiver in football, Wichita Falls Memorial. This last week in the regional, he ran a 153.800.
Wow.
It's not far off. Caleb was second in this Texas A&M event. The Cats won the 4x100 relay with a time of 39.24. That team continues to just rack up the wins. Xavier Parker, Javane Johnson, Omarion Ferguson, and Tyreek Brunn was part of that team. And the B squad finished fourth in the 4x100. Nathan Williams, Ikenna Opara, Will Smith, and Hanley Jensen. The men have a really solid sprinting team.
It's been a record-setting year in that 4x1. They broke the record and continue to be right around that time.
It surely is. On the women's side of things, there's a couple results to point out. The 4x400 relay finished second. Emanuela Squire, Nora Ryan, Michaela Ivory, and Jaden Piper finished with a time of 3 minutes, 42.35 seconds. That is fast.
Yeah.
Danette Haygood finished third in the triple jump with 12.12 meter jump, or for you Americans, 39 feet 9 and a quarter inches, because we don't like European measurements.
No.
Conference USA Championships is the next thing. It's
next
on
week.
May 14th through 16th in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Okay, so we got through that. Now, let's talk about baseball and softball. And we're going to start – we're going to start with the softball side of things. That today was the Conference USA tournament and did not go well. It was not a fun thing to watch. It was 3-0 New Mexico State. They hit 3 solo home runs. One girl hit 2 of them herself. That put New Mexico State into a game here in about an hour against, I want to say
Delaware. Yeah.
Yeah, they played Delaware. And so here's my problem with this bracket. You have 2 teams in this conference that are traveling all the way to, what is it, Delaware they're hosting it?
Yeah, Delaware.
They're going all the way to Delaware. They get 1 game and they come home.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, you got to have some way of doing double elimination. That's just my opinion.
Well, it's an 8-team bracket also. It shouldn't be hard to make an 8-team bracket double elimination. If it was like 6 teams or 10, I could understand it.
Yeah, no, well, we have an 8-team bracket where you have 2 1-game elimination games to start it.
Yeah.
And then on the men's side, you do pool play with an 8-team bracket.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
I do like the pool idea.
Yeah.
Right? I do like that, especially for softball. That would be more fair, in my opinion.
Well,
and I get it for baseball, too.
Softball, it would make a lot of sense because pitchers can throw multiple games in a day. You could run through 2 entire pools in one day kind of thing and not have to worry about spending a ton of arms.
Well, right nowadays, softball's changed a little on that because they realize you get physically tired. Your body gets physically tired from that. So it's not necessarily the arm as much as it is kicking off of that mound that many times can get you tired. So that is one thing that we have seen a change in. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Season's over for the Cats, 29-27 overall, and they lost their final 8 games of the season. And when I looked at that, Ben, the pitching and the hitting just went away.
Yeah, I think part of it was teams you were playing. Obviously, Jack State, really, really good, best team in the conference. Those were 3 of them. Not an excuse, obviously, for a team that had championship aspirations. You were, in the mix for a top 3 seed up until the final 2 weeks, and it kind of just fell apart and just didn't really feel like this team lived up to the expectations that it had. And a ton of really incredible individual performances. Veronica Harrison breaks a single season record. Developed another really good year. So maybe the best freshman in the conference, best leadoff hitter in the conference. Tiffany Sanchez emerged as a star on the mound. Had a ton of really good individual performances, just could not really put it all together, which was just really weird. It felt like you had the talent to do it. It just never really came to fruition.
It was a promising season about 4 weeks ago. And then it just fell apart at the end. I'm not sure why or where the disconnect was, but something went south. And honestly, Tiffany Sanchez at one point was just shutting everybody out. And I don't know. It's not like she was getting thrashed in a lot of games. I mean, she didn't.
Even
she
today,
gave up solo home runs today. That's all they got off of her.
Right. Yeah. I mean, pitching gave up 3 runs. You should not. I mean, you should be in every game that you give up 3 runs with the offensive players that you had. So I think I said it a few weeks ago. It just kind of felt like this team would sleepwalk every once in a while. They'd win game 1 5-0, lose game 2 8-0, then come back and win 4-1 in the third game of a series, kind of thing. And just kind of felt like you sleepwalk at times and never really put it all together. Thankfully, it is a roster where you bring back almost everyone next year, including Sophia Lundstrom, Bella Perez, Veronica Harrison, assuming Tiffany Sanchez, assuming they stay, Abigail Young, even though she didn't pitch a lot this year. So I think we'll go into next year with the same kind of expectations, assuming they bring everybody back, but it's still disappointing. You entered the last 2 weeks of the season 29-19 and went on an 8-game losing streak to finish the year.
For a team that tended to sleepwalk, they sure should be rested after the last month of the season.
A lot of
Conference
sleepwalking.
USA released their awards yesterday, and like you mentioned, a lot of great individual performances. Veronica Harrison was named Newcomer of the Year. Bella Perez, first-team catcher. Veronica Harrison was first-team infielder. Sophia Lundstrom, first-team outfielder. Tiffany Sanchez, second-team pitcher. Sophia Lundstrom and Peyton Helmley were on the all-freshman team. With this season ending the way it has, do you think, or how much do you think that will play a role in players entering the portal once that window, and that window is coming open soon?
Yeah, well, hopefully it's a motivation to come back because Peyton Helmley, also, I didn't really mention, but she's another freshman, had 8 or 9 homers. All 5 of your all-conference players are eligible to return next year. So we'll see, but hopefully it's a motivation in the right way to get people back here because it's a lot of talent that you can bring back.
Yeah, like the thing that you got to do if you're a coach these days is recruit your own roster as much or more than you're recruiting new players to come in. And right now on this trip back would be a great time to spend some time recruiting your players.
Yes, especially that group of 5, right? I mean,
yeah,
even if you just brought that group of 5 by itself, you're off to a great start. And there's some other names in there too that had some good seasons that hopefully you can get back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I hope it does. Baseball side of things, it's not gotten any better.
It has been just, I think I have this right. They won 6 out of 7 at the late March. They lost 11 in a row. They won 5 out of 6, and now they've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, they're 20-29 overall, 9-15 in Conference USA. And as we're going to go take a look here, there they are. There's the standings. I think you can hear me.
Yep.
We're all back in here again. And when you look at the standings, you've got Jack State at the top at 20-4. Liberty, DBU, Missouri State, La Tech, those teams have pretty much solidified. Those 5 teams have solidified a spot in the postseason tournament. WKU, Kennesaw, after sweeping the Cats, are 11-13. Middle Tennessee 10-14, and now on the outside looking in is Sam Houston at 9-15. And this weekend they play Delaware. Delaware's 5-19. Sam Houston's at home. In my opinion, and you tell me if I'm wrong, tell me how far off base I am. They have to sweep Delaware to have any hope of making the conference tournament.
Well, they need to win the series at least, but they are still in because the top 9 teams get in. So they are still in at the moment, technically.
Okay, I can't count.
Which is good, but you also have a series against Louisiana Tech on the road next week. And that is a place where you have not played well. So not that you have to sweep, but you have to at least win the series. A sweep would be really nice. You do have the tiebreaker over New Mexico State and FIU, which helps. But I mean, you go 1-5 or 2-4 over these last 2 weeks. I mean, you're going to be sweating it out at the end. If you could pick up these 3 wins, you're in a pretty good spot. But it should have never gotten to this point. I mean, you should not have gotten swept by Kennesaw State last weekend.
Yeah,
Just
and
was a
look,
bad.
Kennesaw, the way things have gone up and down, like you said, this week they got Delaware. Sam Houston could easily sweep Delaware. Kennesaw State goes to Jack State. They're 11-1 at home in conference play. So, I mean, there's a chance at the end of this weekend that Sam Houston's back above Kennesaw by a game.
Right, and they're the only team they don't have the tiebreaker against. They have the tiebreaker against WKU, Middle Tennessee, New Mexico State, and FIU. So the big one there is Kennesaw State. Thankfully, they are going to Jack State. But you got to win. And Delaware just came off a sweep of New Mexico State last week, and they were 2-19 going into last week. So they got a little momentum too, and you're going the wrong direction. You've got to right the ship here. It really comes down to how you play this weekend.
It does. And also, I'd like to point out that little conference away record for Delaware. They're 1-11.
Yeah, not good.
Not good. Not good. No, not at all. And Kennesaw's away record, well, not bad after you went and played. They're 5-7 now, 6-6 at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
But things got worse, right? Conference USA play is one thing, and then we go last night. And look, I'm going to be completely honest. I did not turn on that game until the Diamondbacks got a big lead over the Pirates, which was about the 10th inning of the Cats game. Because when I saw an update and I saw how many hits the Cats had and how many runs, and I realized it was a walk fest.
Yes.
And I
12
have
walks,
seen,
I think.
I have seen my share of games this year where a team can't throw enough strikes to be competitive. Although that was 9 and 10-year-olds playing their first season of kid pitch compared to college teams where, listen, man, even in high school, coaches have a standard around here of 60% strikes to get on the mound and stay on the mound in high school. How come we can't get at least 60% strikes in college?
Yeah, it's bad. This year, I think.
Listen, last year was pitching, right?
Yeah.
Pitching was the problem. And this year, it started out really well. But now outside of Ryan Peterson, the pitching staff and a couple of the starters aren't horrible.
Right. Tyler Ryden's been good.
Yeah.
You know, Mason Murphy's been good out of the bullpen the last few weeks.
But
Noah Kendrick.
You don't have enough in this bullpen.
No, it shows in the. I mean, you pitched Sean Bazemore for an inning last night. It was his third inning of the year. He's your primary right fielder, and I mean, he gave up 3 runs in an inning. He should not have to come in these situations. I mean,
that sounds like one of those Major League Baseball things where the game's out of.
Yeah, and it was you lost 15-14 the last 2 Tuesdays to Texas and to Lamar last night.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker too, that Texas loss.
And you led that one by 6. I can kind of understand that. You know, Texas might have the best lineup in college baseball.
They do. They hitting wise, yeah.
Yeah, and so you know, you led by 6. Obviously, you want to hold on to it. That's okay. You led the opening game against Kennesaw State by 3. You also led another one of those games by 2. You led by 10 last night. I mean, they've been ahead in 4 or 5 of these 6 games on this losing streak. It's just they just cannot finish it, and there's not enough pitching, and that's just what it is. The offense has been playing well. I mean, since Ryan Frandon came back, you know, towards the beginning of conference play, the offense has hit and been good and found an identity, and guys have stepped up and found roles, and the pitching has just gone the complete opposite way. It just seems like the depth continues to get worse and worse.
Next week, we'll have our softball postmortem, and that will be interesting. But I'll tell you, the one that might be most interesting and might be must listen to is when this baseball season is over, that postmortem. And right now, I think there's a very hot seat in the head coach's office at Sam Houston.
Very, yeah. And I've told people, like, you weren't going to go from 12 wins to 40 wins in a year. But you wanted to go from 12 to 26, 28 kind of thing. It looked like you were on that pace up until about 2 weeks ago when you hit another just really bad slide that you're in the middle of right now. And it's almost weird. There were no expectations coming in to the year for this team. and you kind of had some glimmers of hope, with those couple of winning streaks, winning, I think it was 6 of 7 and 5 of 6, and then they just go and lay a dud like they have the past week or so. And it's just so frustrating because you can see the potential, but they're just not living up to it. I mean, I don't even know if they'll get to 25 wins. They're at what, 20 or 21 right now?
It's the number of blown leads.
Right.
That's concerning, right? Because you got to have – it's not like Sirianni's not trying to use every pitcher he has, because I swear to God, that man got his 10,000 steps in walking to the mound and back last night.
I know. It was what, like 7 or 8 pitchers?
It was a ton, and it was on both sides. Now, I'm not midweek. A lot of times you'll get not always the best pitching, right? I get that. The other thing is you've got to beat Lamar, and you got to be able to hold them to under 10 runs.
Right. And I think it really boils down to you don't have 4 starters on this roster.
No.
I mean, I know your midweek starter is not typically great, but they're typically a guy that can go out there 5 innings, 3 runs, something along those lines. 6 innings, 4 runs, 4 innings, 3 runs. I mean, you're having to throw openers out there that can only give you 1 or 2 innings, and then it's a new guy every inning, and you're hoping for the best.
I think roster construction, he's got 3 starting pitchers and 1 ace, obviously.
Yeah.
I think he's got a couple of guys who are decent middle reliever type pitchers. Yeah. I really think the biggest problem is he does not have anyone for length out of the bullpen.
No.
And that's where
I think you do, but they just aren't very good.
Well, and that's where you end up. That's where your 4th starter comes from on the weekdays, right? The midweek games. That's where they come from is from those long relief guys that maybe you need to use on a weekend and use the other one on a Tuesday or something.
Yeah, I mean, you go Ryan Peterson, Tyler Ryden, Tate Hickman. Those are the only 3 true starters you have.
And they've been good.
Yeah, I mean, the weekend guys have been decent. But it's just – and what happened Friday was it was the first time all season Ryan Peterson wasn't very good. I think he went 5 2/3, gave up 4 or 5 runs, which isn't
horrible. How horrible.
Which isn't horrible, but you didn't have enough in the bullpen to cover those last 3 or 4 innings, and you fell short.
I'll tell you, Cory Hogue on MLB The Show 26 is much better than that.
We need to get some of that to Huntsville.
Yeah. It was a complete reworking of the pitching staff, and initially it seemed like maybe it was successful, but as time has gone on, they've gone back to their averages, and it's not been fun to watch. But I also will say that if they beat Delaware this weekend, if they sweep them, right, and they go win 1, maybe 2 at La Tech, maybe if they get on a roll like this team's been up and down, it's not inconceivable to see them winning 5 of the next 6.
Yeah.
Then they head into conference tournament with 25 wins. They're almost where you thought they would be.
Right. Yeah, it's just, can they hit another one of these hot streaks? And if you can go 4-2 over these last 2 weekends, you got to feel pretty good. And I think you've shown you can beat a WKU or a Middle Tennessee who you might get matched up with in pool play. And maybe you can win a game in pool play. But I mean, it has just not been a good week. And I'm interested to see if they can pull themselves from the depths again. They've done it a couple times this year, but I don't know if they have another one in them. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting conversation after the season with Sirianni, because the all shucks thing, sometimes you don't want a Tony Vitello that every game's the final game of the College World Series, but you also don't want just the oh shucks, that's baseball all the time, right? Like I would like to hear a little more than just that's just me.
A little more fire.
A little bit more like, hey, call somebody out sometimes. Sometimes you got to hold these people accountable.
Yeah.
Right? And these players have got to be held accountable. And right now, I don't feel like the coach is holding anyone accountable.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a part of it, possibly.
All right. Well, we got basketball roster news for both the men and the women. Well, not we. Ben has basketball roster news. And we will get to that right after we hear about how you can get on that order for Christmas lights, because we're coming up to June. We're almost halfway to Christmas. you need to get that order in for Christmas lights from Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Before we get into the basketball, there is something that I don't know if I mentioned it to you. I don't think I did. I was alerted to the fact, and listen, we know I like to get on to people on the social media. I like to call out the ridiculousness that sometimes happens and shouldn't happen at Sam Houston. And I was alerted to the fact that in the last recap of the Baylor track meet that the Sam Houston Go Bearkats.com had from the SID office, that they used the results from Baylor's participants and not Sam Houston's.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, it's not good. So if you, hey, listen, any of you get that kind of, let me know. I will definitely make mention of it. That kind of stuff, just, it can't happen. It's an attention to detail. And I get we're overworked. They're overworked and underpaid in that office greatly, but you still got to be able to get that part right.
Just don't post anything at that point.
Well, they haven't. They haven't for the Texas A&M. There we go. On to basketball, and the roster, men's and women's, is kind of taking shape. And the men's, Ben, from what you're saying, that thing's almost complete.
Yeah, up to 12 scholarship players. You typically have carried 13 and 2 walk-ons. So you're pretty close. You had a visit 2 days ago from a high school player from Canada, Malik Giuseppe Kitson, was a high school teammate of Matt Dan's from Canada, another Canadian, 6'7" forward. So we'll see. He might be the last guy to round it out. He was playing with Overtime Elite most recently, kind of the junior pro high school circuit, whatever they like to call Overtime Elite now.
They should win the athletic department hockey friendly then for sure.
That's a good point. But yeah, it's coming into shape. You got, like I said, 12 of the 15 spots filled. They did announce the 5 returners, and the fact that you returned 5 of your 13 scholarship guys is a huge win. Jacoby Coleman, Justin Begg, Matt Dan, Czech Njai, and Nathan Wynn. Coleman and Begg, you slot in automatically as starters, I feel like, this next year. Matt Dan or Czech Njai could definitely be a starting 5 for you. Nathan Wynn is a depth piece at guard. So you got to feel really good about returning those 5. And since we last talked, there's been a few more commitments. Inel St. Bernard from Indiana State, a guy that averaged 6 points and 6 rebounds a game at Indiana State last year, is a athletic freak, 6'7", really big wingspan, just dunks and rebounds, everything. That's kind of what his role is. Yoda Oke from Fullerton College out in California was the California Junior College Tournament MVP. Fullerton College.
Yoda.
Yeah.
The all-name team.
I know.
Po' Boy last year and Yoda this year.
Yeah, so that's a really, really nice pickup. Averaged, I think, 17 and 10 a game. A 6'7" forward from Fullerton College in California is a winner. And then Ricardo Grepe, a 7-foot center from Wisconsin. Didn't play a ton at Wisconsin the last 2 years, but anytime you can get a guy with that kind of size, I think you got to feel pretty good. And I don't think you really need him to play a ton because you've got Matt Dan and Czech Njai. As long as he can be a depth piece, you got to feel pretty good. So men's basketball spot at 12 right now. We'll see if Giuseppe Kitson commits here soon. He would be the 13th. But yeah, men's basketball roster's in a pretty good spot.
Again, I bash coaches when things are going south, and we all know that. But you have got to give Chris Mudge and that staff tons of credit for recruiting their roster and keeping most of them together. I don't know that there were any necessarily surprise transfers, but the core of the roster that we wanted, and they probably wanted to keep as well, they have done. And that just shows what kind of culture he builds in that program.
Yeah, I mean, you've got pretty much 3 guys from last year's roster that you could plug and play as a starter, which there's not many mid-majors in the country that you can do that. And then on the portal side, you really did a little bit of everything. You got guys from Indiana State Division I, Western Colorado Division II, South Plains, which is a junior college, a couple
really
other
good junior college, by the way.
Right. I mean, Zion Pipkin was the starting point guard there and was an all-region point guard at South Plains. Fullerton College, which is another JUCO, Wisconsin Division I. You hit literally every level and got guys that have performed at those levels, which is really good. So, I mean, you got to feel pretty good about this roster going into next year. A team that got second in the league, I think when the preseason poll comes out, they're going to be in that top 3.
Oh, I think they should be as well. What about the women's side?
Yeah, women's side, only one returner, Esther Rodayar, shooting guard. She comes back. You do have Amia Hall, who was the starting center for Summer Creek. She's a high school signee. Summer Creek won the title her junior year. I believe it was not this year, but the year before. And then you've had 3 signees, so that gets you to 5 scholarship players. Still a lot of work to do. First one is Hannah Wallace from St. Louis, 6-foot forward. Averaged about 3 points, 3 rebounds a game during her 2 seasons there. Mimi Willis, who was a backup guard at Tarleton this last year, she comes in as well. Those 2 look to be players that look to fit that defensive identity that Coach Justice has really leaned into the past few years. And then on Sunday, they got another commitment from Lenasia Johnson from McLennan Junior College. Put up some really good numbers there. 6-foot forward, averaged 13 and 10 a game, and 1.7 steals per game at McLennan. So players that look to fit Coach Justice's identity, but you've still got a long way to go with this roster with just 5 scholarship players there right now.
How many were guaranteed to be lost going into the offseason?
I think 7, and then there were 5 in the portal is what I believe it was, and then you return Esther Rodayar.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to replace.
And to have such a roster turnover in a league that, Conference USA women's basketball is not horrible.
Yeah.
That's going to be really, really tough. They got their hands full on the women's basketball side.
A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do right now.
Well, my wife has her hands full to try to get me healthy and not try another assassination attempt. I survived one this morning, people. She was waving scissors around about 5 feet from me, so I survived that assassination attempt.
At least one more week you'll be here.
Have I ever told you the story of the first time that she came into my apartment?
No.
Lawton, Oklahoma. We will end on this because why not? At the time I was in the Army still. I lived in Lawton, Oklahoma. I drove to DFW, picked her up. We get to my apartment. First thing she does, she walks in, she walks straight to the kitchen, and she starts pulling out my knives and sharpening them. I kid you not.
Not suspicious at all.
No, nothing sus. Nothing. That's what the kids say, sus.
Yeah.
I do the kids' language. I'm, almost a half century old, so I can do kids' language. It's sus.
If you say it, they'll stop saying it.
That's not how it works. They just go, Dad, why are you saying it? You shouldn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. No, she did. She pulled out the knives and started sharpening them first time, and it did not scare me away. So what does that say about me? I am a glutton for that.
You are.
Anyway, we're coming up on an anniversary. I think it's number 11. Is it 11 or 12? She's thinking because she doesn't know exactly either. So that saves me.
Yeah,
but it's 11.
Makes you feel better.
Yeah, no, look, it's your number 11. That we're coming up on here at the end of May, and that's why we'll be headed. Part of the reason we're headed to
Disney,
to Disney World, and then Gabe just turned 10 years old. So you do the math. We were already married. Haha, got you, all you church folks. That is a wrap for this episode of March to the Pod presented by Turtle Roofing. We'll be back next week as long as I'm still alive and survive the other assassination attempts. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, Ben, take us home.
Yeah, eat 'em up, cats, and please beat the Blue Hens.
And avoid those scissors.